Right now at 6 o'clock, they were a dangerous criminal gang, Jacksonville police say, which investigators have now dismantled with what's called Operation Crown Down. Sheriff Waters and State Attorney Nelson announced the arrest of these 19 suspected gang members.
These 7 men were part of the drug and gang investigation involving JSO, the DEA, and the ATF.
The Rolling 20s members and associates face charges ranging from murder to cocaine sale. Now, police made the arrest in 2 phases. The first, 22 members, and then the second phase.
The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office has announced a series of successful operations that have led to the arrest and indictment of several gang members involved in criminal activities across the city. These operations, carried out in collaboration with the State Attorney's Office, the U.S. law enforcement agencies, targeted gangs such as the Insane Gangster Disciples, Rollin' 20s, K4T, Problem Child Entertainment, and the 45th Street Gang. Investigations, which spanned several months and even years in some cases, resulted in numerous arrests and the seizure of firearms, drugs, and other evidence linking these gangs to various violent and illegal activities. These efforts highlight the commitment of law enforcement to dismantling organized criminal networks and restoring safety to affected communities.
Right now at 6 o'clock, they were a dangerous criminal gang, Jacksonville police say, which investigators have now dismantled with what's called Operation Crown Down. Sheriff Waters and State Attorney Nelson announced the arrest of these 19 suspected gang members.
That the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office arrested 19 members of the Insane Gangster Disciples, also known as IGD. Most seriously, the sheriff says one member, Chase Robeson, was responsible for the murder of Devontae Jackson last May. I asked the state attorney about prosecuting all these suspects and if they're convicted, whether they'll remain behind bars.
A 6-month.
It's a bust, and according to investigators, they got a twofer, taking down a violent Liberty City gang and a fraud operation. Among those charged, a rapper known as D30. A poster found in the home features his face and reads, "In 30 we trust."
What's up? It's your boy D30.
Some of his lyrics are about landing on 7 News.
Put him on TV.
And that's exactly what's playing out.
Happened right around midnight Saturday outside of the El Mula banquet hall, which apparently had been rented out for an album release party for rapper ABMG Spitta. Around midnight, when people started walking out of the venue, police say 3 men who had been waiting outside for about 40 minutes in a white Nissan Pathfinder got out and began shooting into the crowd.
And that's indicative of
police raiding an apartment complex, taking down one of the most dangerous gangs in South Florida. Called
Yellow Tape Gang. That says it all. When do you see a yellow tape up? Aside from today, right? Typically in a crime scene, when somebody's been shot, somebody's been harmed, when there's been a robbery.
Crackdown happening in Miami Gardens, leading to the arrest of 17 suspected gang members, but authorities are still working to track down these 5 men and women.
And now at 5, at least 20 people are behind bars connected to a for-hire plot, trafficking cocaine, and possession of firearms. They were arrested in a sting called Operation Primo, as in Operation Cousin.
Everybody knows their position.
Meanwhile, all at the same time, other teams of marshals with the help of ATF and the state attorney's office were busting other known drug dealers and gang members on the north side of Miami-Dade County.
Gang violence.
Shooting on Wall Street. 2 people. Violent incident.
Sex, money, guns, drugs, and ruthless violence.
Detectives infiltrated 2 drug organizations.
Down on violent crime tonight, a second arrest in last week's shooting at the mall at Millennia. Orlando police say the gunfire is part of a gang feud.
Millions of dollars in stolen property, 25 law enforcement agencies, and a 2-year-long investigation. All of it leads back to Orlando.
Tonight, Orlando police say they have made arrests, but there are more to come.
Gang brawl right in the middle of an intersection. Shots were fired, and now 4 men are behind bars.
In recent years, Central Florida has seen
shopping plaza in Port St. Lucie, mainly just mom and pop shops, a popular donut shop. But what I want to show you is among all of these legitimate businesses, right behind this fence here, police say that house was selling dangerous illicit drugs. It was raided last month, but it wasn't until last night that police say they found the person they believe to be responsible. Psilocybin mushrooms, bags stuffed full of marijuana, $12,000 cash, a loaded handgun, and a ski mask. All seen in this photo taken by a Port St. Lucie police detective following what started as a routine traffic stop.
3 people are facing charges in Port St. Lucie, accused in a weekend shooting that police say involved rival biker clubs. The victim died early Sunday morning after he crashed his bike.
Port St. Lucie sits on Florida's Treasure Coast with a story that's bigger than any single headline. Built as a planned community during Florida's post-war boom, the city was incorporated in 1961 and expanded fast as new neighborhoods, highways, and migration reshaped what used to be quiet river and pine land into one of the region's major population centers. It's also a place with bright, mainstream landmarks. Clover Park, the spring training home of the New York Mets, puts the city on the national sports map every year. Port St. Lucie has been tied to recognizable names across music and sports, proof that talent can come from anywhere, including a city most people only learn about when something goes wrong. A growing city balancing opportunity and pressure, where law enforcement says guns, drugs, and rivalries can turn ordinary nights, traffic stops, bar disputes, even a ride home into life-changing cases.
Psilocybin mushrooms, bags stuffed full of marijuana, $12,000 cash, a loaded handgun, and a ski mask. All seen in this photo taken by a Port St. Lucie police detective following what started as a routine traffic stop.
Well, my reaction isn't really that strong because I'm used to seeing it, but obvious reasons why you would have those 2 items would be to conduct nefarious activities.
The stop led to the arrest of 3 suspects, including 20-year-old Samuel Content and 27-year-old Dante Anderson. According to police, both are documented members of the notorious LA Street gang known as the Bloods. Content has been the target of a nearly month-long investigation after residents noticed an unusual amount of traffic going in and out of a house off Bayshore Boulevard. Gang-fueled crime may not be as commonly talked about in Port St. Lucie, but officers say that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Likely gang members are now facing federal indictments thanks to Operation Bluecast.
This morning's operation was swift and it was precise.
The Sheriff's Office will admit 7 may not seem like much, but this is big. These 7, they say, are some of the worst, gang members that other gang members look up to. So they are sending the message to the others: no one is untouchable.
Deputies also just arrested 3 known gang members in Plant City. Investigators say they first found 18-year-old Jamil Callens, who's wanted for illegally having a gun.
Accused of being part of what prosecutors call a white supremacist gang. Investigators say the gang is responsible for violent crime.
New tonight, 9 suspected gang members are now behind bars. Tampa police detectives arresting these men early this morning after a 3-year-long investigation.
6 ruthless, violent, and widespread. That's how federal authorities are describing suspected gang members from Hillsborough County who are all now facing charges.
Hillsborough.
The 5 men St. Petersburg police say are involved in this shooting Sunday outside Sonic Sports Bar and Lounge have now all been charged. Investigators say the YGs live in homes and drive cars that are registered in rapper Rodarius Green, aka Rod Wave's name, including the car they fled in Sunday night.
Drugs, money, and guns. The lyrics of this rap video were more than just for show. They depicted a lifestyle. It's these music videos shared with us by the U.S. Attorney's Office that helped land these 4 men behind bars: Cortez Hogabook, Javante Harris, Christian Brown, and Tory McLaurin. The U.S. Attorney's Office, Middle District of Florida, says the 4 were all members of Bag Talk Entertainment, dubbed BTE. Investigators say the group peddled drugs out of homes around Pinellas County.
October 29th, St. Pete police say 15-year-old Zeke Curo Lofton was walking near the gas station on 9th and 16th Street around 9 p.m. According to a search warrant, 3 shooters began firing at Lofton. Detectives found 23 shell casings. Authorities arrested 2 teens, 18-year-old David Moore and 17-year-old Deontay Bishop.
Officers say 18-year-old Antoine Jones heard gunshots, so he walked out of his home and started shooting.
He heard gunshots, so he decided to come out and he just shot in that direction.
2 innocent victims were caught in the gunfire.
Tonight we know a fiery crash in St. Petersburg this weekend was actually a homicide. That's according to investigators. There is now a $5,000 reward available for details in the death of Demond Perry.
Group right here. That's just a start. That's just a start. Because we know where they work, we know where they do their business, we know who they are, and we know where they live. And the message to them is, we are coming after you with every ounce of resource that we have. We're going to take you out of these neighborhoods, and we're going to put you in jail. We were able to take some very, very dangerous people off of the streets and out of the neighborhoods.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw is talking about 8 men accused of being members of the ZMF and 042 gangs. Men who were in court this morning facing charges of attempted first-degree.
The people in the community is they can breathe a little bit easier and a sigh of relief that this cancer is not in their neighborhoods anymore.
The sheriff's office says the gang, which was previously named the Haitian Boys, has operated in Palm Beach County from Lake Park to West Palm Beach since 2011 and is made up of adults and juveniles. The sheriff's office claims the gang is involved in more than 50 shootings and numerous criminal and violent acts throughout the county.
West Palm Beach police and prosecutors say they've just taken down a major violent organized drug gang that they say operated right there in the 4th Street and Tamarind Avenue area in plain sight of the courthouse windows.
Florida is known for its beaches, theme parks, nightlife, and year-round sunshine. But beyond the tourist attractions and palm trees, law enforcement agencies across the state are fighting a different battle. One against street gangs, prison gangs, outlaw motorcycle clubs, drug trafficking organizations, and violent criminal networks operating in cities large and small. From Miami and Jacksonville to Orlando, Tampa, St. Petersburg, and West Palm Beach, investigators have spent years targeting gangs accused of shootings, drug trafficking, robberies, racketeering, fraud schemes, and organized violence. In this video, we're breaking down some of the biggest gang arrests, indictments, federal raids, and criminal investigations from across the state of Florida. These are the stories behind the headlines and the operations that expose the hidden criminal networks operating throughout the Sunshine State.
Gang bust in South Miami-Dade landed 11 people in jail. Police say they were running a fake call center out of a short-term rental home to scam people out of money. Miami police say they had roughly 20 phones and 20 laptops with headsets. They allegedly called victims acting like their bank or credit card company to get personal information, and then they stole all of the money in their accounts. 11 were arrested at the home. 4 tried to run out the back, but police caught them. They also found guns, drugs, and over $8,000 in cash and victims' debit and credit cards. Miami police say they're familiar with this gang that's tied to several shootings, thefts, and other crimes across Miami-Dade, Broward, and possibly other counties.
Among those charged, a rapper known as D30. A poster found in the home features his face and reads, "In 30 we trust."
What's up? It's your boy D30.
Some of his lyrics are about landing on 7 News.
Put him on TV. Yeah, channel 7.
And that's exactly what's playing out.
Conspiracy to commit organized fraud.
As several of the men now in lockup appear in bond court.
You're out on felony bond. She has a recent conviction. He's involved in a gang.
Miami police say nearly a dozen alleged gang members were taken into custody after investigators raided a short-term rental home on Southwest 162nd Street that they believe had been turned into a fake bank call center used to scam victims out of money and account access. Detectives said their gang unit watched the home during surveillance from October 28th through November 3rd, seeing people they identify as connected to a violent gang known as a BK, Anybody Killer, arrive in high-end vehicle before authorities moved in with help from the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office and the FBI Violent Gang Task Force. During the raid, police said 4 suspects tried to run but were caught, and 7 others were found inside, for 11 arrests total. Inside the living room, investigators reported finding a stage set up meant to mimic a customer service operation, things like a TV playing call center background audio, plus multiple laptops and phones, what they described as an effort to spoof victims. pretending to be a legitimate bank so people reveal sensitive information. Authorities also said they recovered 5 firearms, Mary J., gang paraphernalia, about $8,100 in cash, and multiple debit, credit, and medical cards and IDs belonging to people who were not at the house. The suspects were booked on charges that include conspiracy to commit an organized scheme to defraud in firearms-related offenses, and police noted at least one suspect had a fugitive warrant out of Virginia.
Crackdown happening in Miami Gardens, leading to the arrest of 17 suspected gang members, but authorities are still working to track down these 5 men and women. This is all in connection, we should tell you, with the local Zone 3 gang, which has been linked to a lot of drug trafficking in our area. In this bust, agents seized more than 40 firearms, 200 rounds of ammunition, a lot of cash, and other powerful
In Miami Gardens, a joint operation and the Miami Gardens Police Department led to the arrest of 17 suspected gang members connected to what investigators described as ongoing gang activity in the area, commonly referred to as Zone 3. According to the report in the video you linked, authorities say the arrests were the result of a coordinated investigation aimed at disrupting violent crime and removing high-risk suspects from the streets.
They taking your brother! They took your brother! They took your brother!
A distraught father telling us his son was one of the people in a mass shooting early Sunday morning.
My son is laid there. I need to hold him. I need to hold him.
Cell phone video shows the chaotic moments after the bullets stopped flying outside El Mula banquet hall. Up to 25 people were hit. 2 on the scene. Who lived nearby heard the barrage of gunfire about 12:30 in the morning near Northwest 67th Avenue on Miami Gardens Drive. A senior law enforcement source tells CBS 4 News that several gunmen sat in a white Nissan Pathfinder SUV in the parking lot for up to 40 minutes, appearing to wait for a concert to end. Sources tell us not only did the 3 gunmen open fire, but that people in the crowd fired back. Police found at least 100 rounds. We also saw cars left behind with bullet holes.
Out here in the field, they assassinate my character.
Rapper Spitto was performing. The flyer for the event said it was an album release party. Artist Fopak took the stage too. Investigators believe one of the rappers was hit in the ankle and are reviewing the social media accounts for both rappers to see if they were engaged in any feuds or threats that might shed light on who was responsible.
On May 30th, 2021, a late-night gathering outside El Mula Banquet Hall near Hialeah, northwest Miami-Dade, turned into one of the county's biggest mass shooting scenes in recent memory, with about 20 people shot and multiple deaths reported in the aftermath. Investigators say the shooting happened just after midnight when an SUV pulled up and multiple people opened fire into a crowd outside the venue, leaving a large, chaotic crime scene. Over time, detectives built the case using a mix of surveillance video, cell phone location data, and forensic work, and prosecutors have framed it as a targeted attack tied to an ongoing gang rivalry in Miami-Dade. In June 2024, authorities announced major arrests. Willie Zavin Hill, Alan Gregory Chambers Jr., Eugene Anthony Holmes, and Jackery Brian Green were charged with 3 counts of first-degree deletion and 20 counts of attempted deletion, plus a conspiracy count, according to reporting on the case and court filings. Around the same time, prosecutors also highlighted that Devontae Barnes had already been prosecuted for a role in the case. Later reporting described him as the driver lookout, and he was convicted in state court and sentenced to life in prison in coverage of the outcome. A key thread prosecutors pointed to involves motive and street context. An affidavit cited in news reporting says the shooting stemmed from rivalry between groups identified as the Bricks and Back Blues Apes, and that the event had performers' associates tied to the Back Blues side. Authorities have also referenced a YouTube music video posted afterward that they say included incriminating references and appearances by suspects.
They moved in overnight. Miami-Dade police raiding an apartment complex, taking down one of the most dangerous gangs in South Florida. Called
Yellow Tape Gang. That says it all. When do you see a yellow tape up? aside from today, right? Typically in a crime scene, when somebody's been shot, somebody's been harmed, when there's been a robbery.
Morning's operation culminated a 6-month investigation. Their target, a known hotspot for illegal activity. Manor apartment complex at 10875 Southwest 216th Street in Southwest Miami-Dade served as a hub for the gang to conduct their drug deals and other felonies. Police conducted this morning's raid armed with dozens of warrants. In all, 5 guns were seized and 25 subjects were arrested.
Early Wednesday morning, multiple South Florida law enforcement agencies teamed up in a coordinated raid targeting the Yellow Tape Street gang, police said. Investigators described the group as a major problem in the area, and the operation ended with 25 arrests. Authorities said the suspects face a wide range of charges from drug and firearms offenses to serious violent crime counts, including deletion as part of what officials framed as a major disruption of the gang's activity. Police indicated the roundup was the result of a larger investigation and emphasized that the arrests were intended to reduce ongoing violence and drug trafficking tied to the group. Additional case details, including which suspects face which specific counts and whether the prosecution will proceed at the state or federal level, are expected to be clarified through court filings and upcoming hearings.
38 arrests, 38 men and women accused by Miami-Dade police of taking part in a series of drug crimes. It is 5 o'clock in the morning, and this is not the wake-up call Jaquan Thomas was expecting. A rifle pointed at his front door.
Police department, open the door.
7 News alongside the U.S. Marshals, and they're about to storm inside Thomas's North Miami Beach apartment.
Everybody knows their position.
Meanwhile, all at the same time, other teams of marshals with the help of ATF and the state attorney's office were busting other known drug dealers and gang members on the north side of Miami-Dade County. They call it Operation Smoke. The 38 suspects pictured here were brought here to the Miami-Dade Northside Station where they were booked.
In Operation Smoke, April 23, 2019, U.S. Marshals teamed up with Miami-Dade Police, Northside District, with help from ATF and the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, to hit multiple locations across northwest Miami-Dade in a pre-dawn series of raids aimed at knocking down drug-driven gun violence. Authorities said the operation grew out of an effort to reduce shootings, but as detectives worked the case, they identified repeat narcotics sale locations and alleged links between those drug spots, gang activity, and recent violence in the area. By the end of the sweep, officials said they had arrested nearly 40 people, reported as 38 in the TV coverage, served 14 search warrants, and seized 19 firearms along with large amounts of drugs and cash. One arrest highlighted on camera involved Jaquan Thomas at a North Miami Beach apartment, where officials said investigators had previously found an assault rifle, ammunition, cash, and about 20 pounds of Mary during an earlier search tied to the broader investigation. During the arrest, a U.S. Marshals official claimed Thomas was in a bathroom, and they believed he may have been trying to destroy evidence as officers moved in. Officials said everyone taken into custody during the morning raids was transported to Northside Station for booking, and they framed the crackdown as a direct response to crews they said had been driving crime in the district for years, while emphasizing the cases would still move through court like any other prosecution.
Detectives were able to arrest at least 20 subjects involved in this ring. This investigation also resulted in the disruption of a to hire case that detectives also learned through with this ongoing investigation.
Police told me there is very little information they can disclose about for hire, and they plan to make more arrests. They say the wave of arrests happened simultaneously in Little Havana, Flagami, and Coralway areas. The investigation started as far back as 2024. Police says they seized more than 22 kilograms of cocaine.
Federal prosecutors in Miami say a sweeping drug trafficking case just expanded with a superseding indictment charging 24 defendants in what they describe as a large, violent drug distribution network operating across Miami-Dade and South Florida. Investigators allege the group moved multi-kilogram loads of drugs, trafficked cash and firearms, and posed a serious public safety threat. Authorities say the investigation also uncovered a separate deletion for hire plot tied to Fort Myers, where court records allege 2 of the defendants discussed a paid deletion for up to $30,000, a plan that prosecutors say was interrupted when the FBI and partners moved in during a meeting in Naples. In the broader probe, officials report multiple seizures, including kilograms of cocaine, along with large amounts of cash and firearms recovered from different residences. The case is still in the court phase, but prosecutors say the charges carry major prison exposure, including possible life sentences for some defendants if convicted. Miami police and prosecutors say this Liberty City case grew out of an April 27, 2024 incident at Charles Hadley Park where a girl reported that 2 people pointed guns at her. Investigators say an undercover officer identified Leandra Walker as a suspect, and during a foot chase they allege Walker pulled out a Taurus G2C handgun with an extended magazine and threw it before he was caught. Police described Walker as a documented gang member, and the article notes he previously made headlines in 2023 after a stolen Jeep pursuit in Broward ended in a crash. That earlier case was later dropped, according to the report. After Walker's April arrest, detectives say they got a warrant to search his iPhone, and they reported finding indicators that he was mourning a slain person named Jeremiah Rollers, including a tattoo and a phone screensaver, plus messages containing allegedly stolen identification information belonging to victims in Nevada and Miami Gardens. Prosecutors initially charged Walker in the gun case with possession of a firearm by a delinquent, carrying a concealed firearm, and resisting without violence, and a judge later sentenced him on June 11, 2024 to 12 months of probation. When detectives first started flagging David Clyde Young as a possible gang member, he was still a teen already on house arrest before he turned 19 and on probation by 21. Now 23, Young was back in Miami-Dade court where an undercover detective from Miami Police's Gang Intelligence Unit testified that Young is a documented gang member and described a violent history tied to him. According to what was presented in court, Young was dealing with 2 separate pending cases that together add up to 6 charges. In the first case, detectives said he was booked into the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center early on March 22 and accused him of drugs while also possessing multiple firearms, including what investigators described as a machine gun, a rifle, and a short-barrel shotgun. That case includes charges for possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell, possession of a machine gun, and possession of a firearm ammunition by a delinquent. In the second case discussed at the hearing, detectives said they searched his residence and then accused him of dealing X, having ammunition, and possessing multiple IDs that didn't belong to him. That case includes charges for X-trafficking, another count of firearm ammunition possession by a delinquent, and unlawful possession of 5 or more identifications. Authorities say this case is part of a wider South Florida fraud and gang investigation, but the specific allegation here is pretty focused. Sheldon Adams Van Dyke is accused of helping scam an 84-year-old man in the lower Florida Keys out of about $19,800 after a caller pretended to be from Bank of America and convinced the victim there was a problem with his account. Investigators say the victim shared sensitive banking info, and the money was then moved and used without permission. According to the sheriff's office account, detectives traced the activity back to Van Dyke through ATM surveillance video in Miami showing him trying to pull cash from an account that authorities say was set up using the stolen funds. They also say the Miami Police Department's Gang Intelligence Unit identified Van Dyke as a documented member of ABK, Anybody Killer, and they noted he had no known legitimate source of income, which matters because it becomes part of the why investigators cite for how the scheme was operating. Van Dyke was arrested by the Broward Sheriff's Office at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport after returning from a trip to Belize, then booked into jail in Monroe County. He's charged with scheming to defraud a person 65 or older, an enhanced elderly victim fraud charge, and his bond was set at $75,000. Under Florida's Communications Fraud Act, a scheme to defraud generally means an ongoing plan to obtain someone else's property through deception, and the dollar amount can affect degree penalties. Florida federal prosecutors said a grand jury returned 5 separate indictments that charged 29 people in a multi-agency operation targeting the Latin Kings in Miami-Dade and across South Florida. Authorities said 23 of those charged were alleged Latin Kings members or associates, and the cases included accusations ranging from racketeering, RICO, and drug distribution to robbery, fraud, kidnapping, and deletion, with prosecutors describing it as a leadership-focused takedown aimed at dismantling structure, money, and enforcement on the street. Investigators also highlighted several alleged high-ranking roles in the organization. Reporting identified Christopher Isabel, King Nano, as a top figure in Florida, and listed other alleged leadership positions such as Bobby Tejada, King Rico, as a regional officer, Luis Rivera, King Tato, tied to North Miami operations, and Juan Alvarez, King Juanmo, along with Lazaro Castellon, King Speedy or King Laz, tied to South Miami operations, plus additional leadership in Broward and Palm Beach that was also swept into the indictments. Court documents say the FBI used a confidential informant to stop an alleged kidnapping and robbery plot targeting a Miami jeweler connected to the Saybold building. Investigators allege a person called Jack contacted the victim online and pitched a large cryptocurrency for cash exchange, then brought an informant into a Telegram group chat, Play, where the plan was discussed. Authorities say the victim's crypto wallet was used to show the group what they believed they could steal, about $2 million. According to the complaint summary, the informant told agents the group wanted a vehicle ahead of time to scope the area. Instead, investigators say an undercover agent met one of the suspects and provided a vehicle that was monitored by law enforcement, and agents continued tracking the group as people traveled in from Central Florida to meet up in Broward County. Authorities say they moved in before the planned kidnapping happened, arresting Zachary Briggs, Aaron Hammond, Trevor Neal, and Evan Puckett. After the arrests, agents reported interviewing the suspects. In the government's telling, each person had an assigned role, like driving or security, and the evidence includes chat messages, recorded calls, and other investigative material. Important, these are allegations. At this stage, guilt gets decided in court.
Dave? Shannon, deputies are connecting a double homicide at a Sweet 16 party 4 years ago to a shooting at a party for high school seniors 2 years ago. And tonight, they say the 8 men connected to the 2021 shooting are now behind bars.
We were able to take some very, very dangerous people off of the streets and out of the neighborhoods.
Sheriff Rick Bradshaw is talking about 8 men accused of being members of the ZMF and 042 gangs. Men who were in court this morning facing charges of attempted first-degree. The story starts in 2019. 2 teens were shot in a Sweet 16 birthday party at Lake Belvedere Estates. 2 years later, deputies say friends of the slain teens and their families sought revenge, drove to a seniors skip day party at Ocean Reef Park in Singer Island, then opened fire, shooting 2 people who survived.
See, here's the mentality that you have in some of these gangs. They think they can do what they want to.
Deputies say the 8 suspected gang members were at the park on Singer Island targeting Kenneth Bowles. Deputies say some of the 8 suspected Bowles was a trigger man in the 2019 Belvedere slayings. Bowles was shot 6 weeks after the Ocean Reef gunfire in 2021. No one has been charged.
We are still working on it. That's why we have an idea, obviously. We need more information from the public. We're going to continue to investigate until we solve
room only at the Salvation Army Rec Center in Lake Worth as people came to say their goodbyes to Maltier Charles Jr. Mo, as friends call him, is a 17-year-old who was one of 2 teens shot at a park after a Sweet 16 party. At the funeral, emotions ran high as family thanked the crowd for the overwhelming support. Family says that Mo loved life and loved basketball. They say he had planned on going on to college after high school
In a chilling
graduation.
chapter from Palm Beach County, authorities have allegedly arrested 8 men linked to a trail of violence, including 2 deletions and a string of retaliatory shootings. The suspects, allegedly members of the ZMF and 042 gangs, were rounded up after a 2-year investigation. The saga began in 2019 following a double deletion at a Sweet 16 party at Lake Belvedere Estates Park, where 2 teens tragically lost their lives. While authorities allegedly made an arrest in the initial case, the deletion led to a dangerous chain of events, with friends and associates of the teens that met their demise allegedly taking matters into their own hands. Retaliation shootings allegedly occurred in multiple locations across the county, many of them in broad daylight. In November 2020, a shooting allegedly linked to suspects occurred after they reportedly sought revenge over Charles Jr.'s demise. Just as the investigation seemed to cool off, things escalated further. On May 14, 2021, shots rang out once again during a high school senior skip day party at Ocean Reef Park. Witnesses alleged that members of the suspected gang, in white BMWs and wearing ski masks, opened fire. The chaos that ensued left one victim hospitalized with gunshot wounds. Later that day, one of the vehicles allegedly involved, driven by Jermaine Sampson, was spotted at St. Mary's Hospital with a wounded McGraw inside. Yet the story doesn't end there. Using a mix of cell phone data, social media messages, and forensic evidence, detectives allegedly connected these incidents and charged the 8 men.
Gangs are a cancer in a community, and we're going to cut these cancers out.
Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw and State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg announced the arrest of 9 people, including a 17-year-old who they say is a suspect in a in St. Lucie County. The arrests turned up guns, cash, and drugs and follow a reported year-long investigation of the Sama gang. Sheriff's office says the gang, which was previously named the Haitian Boys, has operated in Palm Beach County from Lake Park to West Palm Beach since 2011 and is made up of adults and juveniles. The sheriff's office claims the gang is involved in more than 50 shootings and numerous criminal and violent acts throughout the county.
Authorities in Palm Beach County have allegedly arrested nearly 30 known gang members since October. In a dramatic sweep dubbed Operation No Face No Case, 9 alleged members of the Sama gang, operating across West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, and Lake Park, were apprehended. As one official put it, gangs are a cancer in the community, and they're determined to cut these cancers out.
Police tonight say they've crippled one of West Palm Beach's largest organized crime rings, making 19 arrests following an investigation that took a year and a half to complete. Ari Height joins us live from the West Palm Beach Police Department. He has more on how investigators say they broke up the 4th Street gang. Ari?
And Todd, just to give you an idea of how prevalent the drug sales were in that neighborhood, the police chief here says he got a phone call from somebody this morning in that neighborhood, not to say that he was witnessing a drug deal, but to say he wasn't witnessing a drug deal. Now think about that for a second. Somebody called police to report that there wasn't a crime in their neighborhood. That right there in a nutshell, that was the idea behind Operation Goodfella. To 19 arrests of people who law enforcement say were part of what's known as the 4th Street Gang, selling drugs near the intersection of 4th Street and Tamarind Avenue.
This was so brazen that you could see this with the naked eye from the courthouse. That's how close it was to us.
These individuals, they have been operating in this city long ago. I mean, I'm going to go back, say, 15 years.
Ehrenberg says a 16-year-old shot another teen in the face because the victim was disrespectful. The shooter is one of the 19 now in custody, part of what police call a, quote, work in progress. And
what they would do is they would recruit people who had clean records so that they could buy guns for them, and then they would sit in the alleyways in broad daylight to protect the drug trafficking business with their firearms.
In a dramatic crackdown that sounds straight out of a crime thriller, authorities have allegedly tied 19 individuals, including a teenager, to a sprawling racketeering investigation linked to a notorious West Palm Beach gang. On February 6, SWAT teams allegedly arrested 18 suspected members of the so-called 4th Street gang during coordinated raids, with one suspect still allegedly on the run. Dubbed Operation Goodfellas, the 18-month investigation allegedly targeted brazen, open-air drug deals and criminal activities along 4th Street and Tamarind Avenue. During a press conference, Mayor Keith James, Police Chief Frank Adderley, and State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg revealed that these suspects are allegedly charged with racketeering, drug sales, weapons violations, and even attempted first-degree deletion. Ehrenberg described the drug deals as so overt that they were allegedly visible from the courthouse window. "We're not fooling around," he warned. Among the arrests is a 16-year-old who is allegedly being tried as an adult after allegedly shooting a juvenile for challenging an elder gang member. Police have also seized about 30 firearms, along with vehicles and cash, in what they claim is an effort to eliminate the open drug trade in the city. 30 guns, including assault-style rifles, are now off the streets and will not be used to delete people, said Mayor James, while Chief Adderley warned that 19 people tied to an organized crime ring will allegedly no longer terrorize neighborhoods. The 4th Street Gang is alleged to have been active since the late 1990s. Court records allege that the gang has violent rivalries with at least 3 other local criminal organizations, often dragging innocent civilians into the crossfire. Their criminal exploits are allegedly even flaunted on social media, with members posting videos, bulletins, and music clips under the banner of their own label, Entrepreneur Entertainment. According to a probable cause affidavit, the gang allegedly dissolved after its leader's death in 2015, only to be reformed following a series of deletions between 2015 and 2017. Their alleged operations are centered in an alley between 3rd and 4th Streets, adjacent to Tamarind and Douglas Avenues, where they allegedly conduct narcotic sales while openly displaying firearms to intimidate rivals. Assistant State Attorney Diva O'Brien noted that the suspects allegedly trafficked a range of drugs. Authorities claim that this operation has allegedly decimated the 4th Street Gang, sending a clear message that such criminal enterprises will be met with the full force of the law.
Yes, 14 members of the Firehouse Clique have been arrested. The sheriff says he's removing terrorists from county neighborhoods.
We are coming after you.
Firehouse Clique is being extinguished. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw's response to members of the street gang Firehouse Clique after a 2-year investigation resulted in the arrest of 14 of their members.
This is a bad group that has been involved in really, really bad stuff for a long time. And these guys are all facing now the charges of racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering. It's 50 years in prison they're looking at right now, on top of any other cases that we get.
4 open homicide investigations dating back to 2013 through 2018 throughout the county are now closed. Investigators say arrest of gang members tied to a highly publicized 5th homicide investigation at Palm Beach Central High School during a kickoff football game is soon to come.
Through our investigation, we have determined that Derek Williams and Mark Lucie are the suspects in that case. I'm telling you that case is still open. We have not closed that case yet, but they are the suspects. We know for a fact they are the ones that did this.
Allegedly, the notorious Firehouse Clique gang has been wreaking havoc throughout Palm Beach County for years, accused of committing a staggering array of violent crimes. Charges against its members span deletion, attempted deletion, robbery, arson, narcotics trafficking, aggravated assault, racketeering, and conspiracy. Among the suspects, one individual, Travis Stubbs, has faced scrutiny in at least 3 high-profile deletions dating back to 2014. Authorities believe he may be responsible for the deletions of Andrew Dixon in 2014, Antoine Smith along I-95, and Albert Jones 3 years later. In a sweeping operation dubbed Operation Prometheus, local law enforcement successfully dismantled a significant portion of the gang, arresting 14 alleged members. We know who they are, where they live, and what they're up to. We're taking them down. However, as the legal process continues to unfold, new twists have emerged. Some of the initial charges for 4 gang-related deletions between 2015 and 2018 have been reduced or dismissed. The case now hinges on a complex network of trespassing, drug offenses, firearms violations, and violent crimes, with less deadly but undeniable evidence connecting the gang's activities. Despite this shift, 3 members of the Firehouse Clique have reportedly accepted plea deals. This sent shockwaves through the community, reducing their potentially lifelong sentences to just a fraction of the original prison time. In addition, the ongoing legal maneuvering and potential plea deals sparked speculation. Was there insufficient evidence to link the gang to all the violence they were initially accused of? Or is this merely a strategic move to protect other crucial investigations until...
Nearly 3 years later, family members sat in court as a judge ordered no bond for Devontae White.
Judge, I'm invoking his right to an attorney. I don't want him to speak to any law enforcement.
Accused Devontae White will remain behind bars after deputies say he shot and 18-month-old Isarian Collin back in 2014.
He has 10 failures to appear, 3 felonies, 2 misdemeanors.
According to court documents, Isarian's stepfather was meeting White off of Quailwood Drive in West Palm to sell him. Isarian, his mother, and another child were also in the car when deputies say the drug deal happened. But White pulled a gun, there was a struggle, and the toddler was shot in the stomach.
Local gang networks. The Firehouse Clique's alleged reign of terror is far from over, and law enforcement is poised to ensure the gang's influence continues to shrink in the months ahead. Meanwhile, the 14th man, Devonte White, remains behind bars, allegedly serving a life sentence for the May 2014 demise of 18 Monthold. Allegedly, 5 gang members from the West Palm Beach area have been taken into custody amid a dramatic sweep of car thefts and burglary across Palm Beach County. Authorities allege that members of the so-called Westgate Blood Gang were tracked to a residence off Military Trail, south of Southern Boulevard, early on June 22. According to law enforcement reports, officers monitored the group in a stolen vehicle for over an hour, piecing together a late-night, early-morning operation that began when 3 stolen cars were spotted in a suburban West Palm Beach housing complex. One vehicle was allegedly taken from a Tequesta home, while the other 2 had repeatedly eluded Boca Raton police. The investigation took a cinematic turn as the suspects were seen driving a stolen 2013 Kia Sportage, making a pit stop at a gas station on Haverhill Road to pick up Turner, and then cruising through Lakeside Mobile Home Park in the Westgate neighborhood. Witnesses allege that the group made several stops, first in the Acreage and then in Wellington, where they were reportedly seen testing door handles of parked cars. The suspense escalated when agents closed in on the group as they headed back toward the initial location. The suspects allegedly sought refuge in a nearby home known to Payne, but eventually surrendered to authorities. In addition to the car thefts, investigators have linked the men to a series of burglaries involving stolen guns, jewelry, checkbooks, cameras, and even a rosary, spanning several weeks from Jupiter to Boca Raton. 3 of the individuals reportedly confessed to their roles in some of these crimes, while 2 maintained their silence, insisting on legal representation. This unfolding saga adds yet another layer to the ongoing challenges law enforcement faces in curbing gang-related activities in West Palm Beach. In conclusion, these alleged indictments mark a significant turning point in West Palm Beach's ongoing battle against organized crime.
A 6-month investigation has dismantled a West Side gang, arrested 19 people, and seized 18 guns, including an assault-style rifle, the sheriff says. Operation Crown Down left the insane Gangster Disciples gang functionally extinct, Sheriff TK Waters said Tuesday. The gang, a loose subset of the Chicago-based Gangster Disciples, included members with nicknames like Mouse, Goofy G, and Wolf. Investigators from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office began tracking down members after a shooting in May 2022 deleted Devonte Jackson, 24, in a Kirkpatrick Circle condominium complex near Wilson Boulevard and Interstate 295, police said. The gang operates locally with its roots in Jacksonville's West Side, Waters said. Additionally, investigators learned that its members trafficked in narcotics and engaged in acts of violence. Given the dangers posed by these gang members, investigators crafted this operation with the intention of arresting as many members as possible to rid our community of this criminal organization. Illegal firearms, drugs, and a local criminal enterprise whose activities have caused immeasurable harm in our community have now been taken off the streets, Nelson said. Drug dealing by one of the suspects directly led to the death of a man in December, she said. Though he did not pull a trigger, his actions were just as deadly, she said. Edward Gange, 44, was arrested on drug charges initially, but now faces a manslaughter charge, police said. Forensic research on the weapon showed the rifle was used to kill Jackson almost a year ago, Waters said. One of the handguns was used in shooting in 2021, he said. 13 men have been arrested in connection with a Northwest Jacksonville gang accused of engaging in a range of criminal activities in the area around West 45th Street and Moncrief Road. The arrests are the result of an 18-month collaborative investigation conducted by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Each individual was charged as a member of the 45th Street gang, according to arrest reports, and they all reside in Jacksonville. Under Sheriff Frank Mackesy stated that the gang members were involved in drug sales, theft, and conflicts with other criminal groups. creating a sense of fear and instability in the local community. While the authorities believe the gang has been responsible for more severe acts of violence, such as deletions and assaults, Mackesy indicated that these allegations have not yet been substantiated. One of those arrested, 22-year-old Tyrone Curtis Gant, faces additional charges related to a deletion as well as drug and firearm possession. Mackesy noted that the gang operated collectively without a single leader and that some of the suspects were already in custody on other charges. The gang is known to have worn specific colors and used coded hand signals and greetings, but Mackesy did not provide further details.
Murder. 46 alleged members of a dangerous gang are off the streets of Jacksonville following a long-term investigation by local and federal authorities.
Well, Katie, the sheriff went as far as to say that this gang, the Rolling 20s, has been dismantled. This was a large-scale operation. The sheriff says this gang has ties up and down the East Coast. Now, this investigation all started back in April 2016. Sheriff Mike Williams says the Rolling 20s gang is responsible for the planning and a man who was a witness in a separate case against a gang member. The Rolling 20s members and associates face charges ranging from murder to cocaine sale. Now, police made the arrests in two phases. The first, 22 members, and then the second phase, members and associates who tried to fill those voids.
41 individuals suspected of being members of the multi-state gang known as the Rolling 20s were arrested in Jacksonville following a two-phase investigation, according to an announcement by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Mike Williams also noted that 5 additional members remain at large and are currently wanted by authorities. The investigation initially began in response to the 2016 deletion of security guard Michael Wright. During the inquiry into this case, JSO focused on the primary suspect, Quinny Hudson. Wright was expected to testify against Hudson, who had been jailed in 2014 for allegedly throwing a concrete stone through a car window occupied by a woman and a small child. Hudson was later found guilty in 2017 for orchestrating a plot to delete Wright while in jail. As the investigation progressed, authorities uncovered Hudson's affiliation with the Rolling 20s, described as a structured organization within the Bloods gang. This connection revealed the gang's involvement in multiple acts of violence and criminal activities across Jacksonville, including deletions, attempted deletions, robbery, narcotics trafficking, firearms trafficking, arson, witness intimidation, and other serious offenses dating back to May 2015. Sheriff Williams stated that the Rolling 20s gang was more organized than the typical neighborhood-based street gangs usually seen in Jacksonville. The gang's hierarchy extended beyond the city into other regions, with branches in cities such as Augusta, Richmond, Baltimore, and various locations in California. The Rolling 20s' influence along the East Coast highlighted the breadth of their operations. Following the initial phase of the investigation, 22 suspected gang members were arrested in Jacksonville and charged by the state attorney's office. By the conclusion of the second phase, the total number of arrests had increased to 46, with some suspects facing federal charges. During the investigation, law enforcement seized over drugs.
This was a part of a long-term investigation into a gang and also into narcotics. And those men now in jail, if found guilty, they could be headed to prison.
Ian Brightman, the leader of a gang organization. Sheriff T.K. Waters explained during a news conference today that the gang members terrorized their Jacksonville community since 2019.
K4T was responsible for repeated acts of violence in this community, including multiple homicides.
JSO's focus was on Brightman and the 6 primary members of his organization. Brightman was arrested in January after a targeted traffic stop. His driver jumped out of the van armed with a knife and was shot and killed by JSO. Brightman's 8-year-old son was with him in the van. He was turned.
Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters, in collaboration with the State Attorney's Office, and ATF, announced the successful outcome of Operation Bright Lights, a 2-month investigation that led to the arrest of the leader and 7 members of the K4T gang. The primary target of this operation was K4T leader Brian Brightman, whose gang has been implicated in multiple acts of violence throughout Jacksonville since 2019. The sheriff reported that K4T was involved in numerous incidents and engaged in narcotics trafficking to fund its activities, distributing significant quantities of drugs across the city. The goal of Operation Bright Lights was to dismantle the organization by removing its leadership, and Sheriff Waters believes that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office succeeded in this objective. One of the firearms recovered was linked through ballistics evidence to a 2021 incident, highlighting the gang's connection to various crimes. During the investigation, the leader of K4T, Brian Brightman, was apprehended in a targeted traffic stop in Ocean Way. His driver, Eric Thornton, was fatally shot by a Jacksonville officer after brandishing a knife. Brightman's 8-year-old son was present in the vehicle at the time of the arrest. According to Sheriff Waters, the K4T gang had approximately 40 members and was distributing large quantities of drugs. The firearms recovered during the operation were linked to several crime scenes. One Glock pistol was connected to 4 separate incidents, while a rifle was associated with 2 crime scenes from the previous fall. Sheriff Mike Williams announced the arrest of 10 members of Problem Child Entertainment, a group that authorities say portrayed itself as a music collective, but was involved in a series of criminal activities, including robberies, shootings, drug trafficking, and other violent acts. This group is alleged to have been connected to several incidents, including the 2016 drive-by shooting that resulted in the deletion of 22-month-old Aiden McClendon. During a press conference, Sheriff Williams stood alongside a display of those arrested on federal racketeering charges, explaining that the investigation into PC spanned several years and concluded with a final arrest on November 10th. He stated that the group had been responsible for numerous firearm-related incidents over the past 3 years, including multiple acts of violence. Once PC was identified as a violent gang, law enforcement agencies concentrated their efforts on identifying the primary members and dismantling the organization. Authorities linked several members to various violent acts, including the 2016 drive-by incident involving Aiden McClendon and the July incident involving 23-year-old Glenn McNeil Jr. Sheriff Williams revealed that Jacksonville is home to about 40 documented gangs with approximately 800 members. He described PC as a street gang disguised as an entertainment group and declared that their reign of terror has come to an end, emphasizing that the community had endured enough. Among those arrested, Quaim Richardson, 18, faces multiple charges, including those related to Aiden's incident. Henry Hayes, 4, also 18, was previously arrested and charged in connection with the same incident. His older sister, Cynthia, 21, was taken into custody on charges of assisting other gang members by providing them with transportation and getaway vehicles. Sheriff Williams noted that this was a significant breakthrough in the investigation, which allowed authorities to piece together the connections between various members and link them to the organization. Danny Haddon, 20, faces 2 racketeering charges and has been linked to a firearm used in the Jacksonville Beach incident involving McNeil during 4th of July festivities. New evidence presented by prosecutors indicates that other members of the gang had plans to ambush a police officer in his patrol car using an assault-style rifle. However, law enforcement have been monitoring their activities, including social media and communication channels, and gathering intelligence from those already in custody.
St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway sends a message after another shooting plagues the city. A barrage of bullets Easter Sunday after a late-night altercation between 5 people outside the Sonic Sports Bar and Lounge.
There was one individual that appeared to have an issue with someone else. He called over to the other 4 individuals.
The shots didn't stop. Police recovered 60 casings from the scene. 20-year-old Covontre Westby, 21-year-old Keith Westby, and 24-year-old Christopher Atkins, all found at this Manatee County home Wednesday morning, each charged with attempted second-degree. 5 rifles, 5 handguns, ammunition, $10,000 in jewelry used to identify them all, taken for evidence.
There was 5 individuals there. 3 have been charged. 2 more have warrants issued for them.
All involved with the group the YGs, or Young Gangsters, who police say have been seen with St. Pete-based rapper Rod Wave. Wave was detained and released when search warrants were executed at 2 homes in Pinellas and Manatee County. His connection to the group involved is clear.
On Easter Sunday in St. Petersburg, Florida, the quiet holiday atmosphere shattered when gunfire erupted outside the Sonic Sports Bar and Lounge on 49th Street South. What should have been a normal night out turned into chaos as multiple shots were fired, and 4 innocent bystanders were hit people who had nothing to do with the conflict. According to investigators, the shooting was not random, but tied to a local gang known as the YGs, short for Young Gangsters, a group police say they've been watching closely since at least 2022 as violence, guns, and social media taunts escalated around them. Police eventually identified 5 suspects: Covontre Westby, Keith Westby, Christopher Atkins, Willie Cookinson, and Elias Torres. Westby, Atkins, and Cookinson were charged with attempted second-degree deletion, while Torres was charged as a principal to attempted deletion, accused of helping set up the events that led to the shooting. Additional counts included carrying a concealed firearm, possession of a firearm by a delinquent, and felon in possession of a firearm for those with prior records. All 5 men, despite the seriousness of the allegations, were able to bond out of jail shortly after their arrests, a fact that frustrated many watching the case. St. Petersburg police spokesperson Yolanda Fernandez stressed that these were not naive teenagers, but grown men in their 20s and 30s deeply involved in a gang that detectives believe has ties to multiple incidents of gun violence in the city. One of the most high-profile angles of the investigation is the alleged connection between the YGs and rapper Rodarius Green, better known as Rod Wave. Police say several gang members live in houses and drive vehicles registered to him or his company, and that he frequently appears with them on social media and references them in music. A BMW found at one of his homes has been linked to several shootings in St. Petersburg. Rod Wave himself was briefly arrested on ammunition charges, based on the belief he was a convicted felon, but those charges were dropped after it was clarified that an earlier offense had been reduced to a misdemeanor, meaning he was legally allowed to possess ammunition and firearms. At this point, police say he does not face any charges, but remains part of a larger, ongoing investigation into the gang's activities and finances. During searches of homes and vehicles tied to the suspects, detectives seized 10 guns, large amounts of ammunition, more than $10,000 in cash, and jewelry believed to be connected to the gang's lifestyle and image.
Drugs, money, and guns. The lyrics of this rap video were more than just for show. They depicted a lifestyle. These music videos shared with us by the U.S. Attorney's Office that helped land these 4 men behind bars: Cortez Hogebook, Javante Harris, Christian Brown, and Tory McLaurin. The U.S. Attorney's Office, Middle District of Florida, says the 4 were all members of Bag Talk Entertainment, dubbed BTE. Investigators say the group peddled drugs out of homes around Pinellas County.
The government used what these defendants put on social media, what they put in the rap videos, against them to prove that these defendants were drug traffickers. I'm whipping that bowl and give me a rush.
Investigators say the group rapped about making and selling drugs, even putting drug paraphernalia on display. Attorney Anthony Rickman isn't affiliated with this case, but he says the videos gave the feds a look into what was going on inside several so-called stash locations in St. Pete.
They were able to identify the locations of the drugs, where the drugs were housed when they went into those houses. They were able to identify the players, but also the locations.
Through the music videos and the help of confidential informants, in 2022, agents say Harris had makeshift business cards with a phone number tracing back to Hogebook. After the years-long investigation, Hogebook, known as Traffic, was the 4th BTE member to be sentenced. He pleaded guilty last year.
None of them actually went to trial because of the amount of evidence the government had, really the amount of evidence that they gave the government through their own rap videos.
A 4th man sentenced to prison after music videos lead to drug trafficking bust. Federal investigators say 4 St. Petersburg men have now received long prison sentences after a years-long drug trafficking investigation uncovered a coordinated operation running coke, Fenty, and meth through multiple residential stash houses across Pinellas County. Prosecutors say the case broke open in an unusual way through the group's own music videos. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, the men were part of Bag Talk Entertainment, or BTE, a self-styled rap group that investigators say blended entertainment with real-world drug distribution. Instead of using fictional imagery or exaggerated lyrics, federal agents found that the firearms, cash, drug paraphernalia, and even the houses shown in the videos were the same locations used for trafficking. Prosecutors said the videos were not artistic expression, they were evidence. The final defendant to be sentenced was Cortez Hogebook, who received 25 years and 10 months in federal prison, one of the longest terms in the case. His co-defendants Tory MC Lauren, Christian Brown, and Javante Harris had already received sentences ranging from 19 to 25 years. Investigators say BTE's downfall began when their music videos, posted publicly on social media platforms, displayed real drugs, real weapons, and the interiors of homes that later turned out to be active stash locations. Agents were able to match details from the videos, including kitchen layouts, wall colors, and exterior features to houses used during buys made by confidential informants. One attorney familiar with the case explained that federal prosecutors essentially built a roadmap to the drug operation using the defendant's own creative content.
Tonight we know a fiery crash in St. Petersburg this weekend was actually a That's according to investigators. There is now a $5,000 reward available for details in the death of Demond Perry. St. Pete investigators first told us that he died after losing control and flipping a car on Tyrone Boulevard. That happened early Saturday morning. Well, today those detectives revealed shortly before the crash he was actually
The demise of Demond Perry stunned his family and friends because, by all accounts, he had no connection to gangs or street disputes. Perry was an aspiring rapper who had recently begun performing with a local group called We the Enemy. But on February 12, 2022, he became the tragic victim of a long-running gang feud in Pinellas County when he was mistakenly targeted while leaving the Turbo Lounge nightclub in St. Petersburg. Detectives would later determine that Perry was not the intended target at all. He was simply driving the wrong car at the wrong time. According to investigators, Jalen Shazzle and his associates were laying in wait outside the Turbo Lounge that night. Surveillance and cell phone data later revealed that Shazzle believed another man, Greg Thornton, was inside Perry's Infiniti. Thornton, who had briefly been in Perry's car earlier in the night, was suspected by some gang members of being responsible for the 2019 demise of Roderick Jackson, Shazzle's cousin. That homicide remains unsolved, but it became a catalyst for escalating retaliation between rival neighborhoods. Detectives say the Wood Boys, the gang Shazzle and co-defendant Sherrod Witcher are affiliated with, had been seeking revenge ever since. When Perry left the nightclub, Shazzle followed him in a white Cadillac. Traffic cameras captured flashes from a gun barrel on the passenger side of Shazzle's vehicle as it pulled up behind Perry's Infiniti at a red light on Tyrone Boulevard. Perry sped off, attempting to escape, but moments later police found his car overturned and burning. Although Perry was not struck by gunfire, the crash caused fatal injuries. He died shortly after being taken to Tampa General Hospital. The following day, detectives discovered that Perry's SUV had been hit by nearly 24 bullets, most of them on the passenger side, where the shooter believed Thornton was sitting. In a later jail call, Thornton confirmed that he believed the attack had been meant for him. Investigators then began piecing together evidence that tied the shooting to the Wood Boys' ongoing conflict with an opposing gang known as Ombak, a group deeply tied to drug activity in St. Petersburg. The feud had generated a series of retaliatory shootings dating back to 2019, including an ambush on Shazzle himself in July 2022 and the wounding of another Wood Boys member, Darrell Williams, in a separate attack. Detectives ultimately identified Shazzle as the primary shooter using a combination of text messages, cell phone location data, ballistic evidence, and digital forensics. Texts between Shazzle and Witcher, "He in here, bro, it's over tonight," were among the most critical pieces of evidence presented to jurors. Investigators also linked bullet casings from Perry's shooting to casings found at other gang-related shootings. Attack, including lyrics that described chasing a car and flipping it. After a 7-month investigation, police arrested Shazzle. In court, prosecutors from the Pinellas State Attorney's Office presented what they described as a detailed timeline of planning and retaliation. In less than 3 hours of deliberation, a jury found Shazzle guilty of first-degree deletion, and Judge Felipe Matthew sentenced him to life in prison. Prosecutors noted that while gang history played a major role behind the scenes, the judge barred gang-related evidence from being presented to the jury to keep the trial focused strictly on the events of the homicide.
Right, 2 deadly crimes that happened just 33 days apart. The teenager accused in both of them is now being charged as an adult and is in the Pinellas County Jail. This all started back on November 26th when 17-year-old Deontay Bishop was behind the wheel of his dad's Camaro when he hit the driver's side of 87-year-old Denry Gale's car at the intersection of Dr. MLK Street South and 30th Avenue South. They say he ran from the scene but was caught soon after. Gale was taken to the hospital and later died. Just 10 days after posting bond on December 19th, police say Bishop shot and 15-year-old Zakiria Lofton in St. Petersburg.
December 29th, St. Pete police say 15-year-old Zakiria Lofton was walking near the gas station on 9th and 16th Street around 9 p.m. According to a search warrant, 3 shooters began firing at Lofton. Detectives found 23 shell casings. Authorities arrested 2 teens, 18-year-old David Moore and 17-year-old Deontay Bishop.
A 17-year-old Florida teen with documented gang ties is now at the center of 2 separate deletion investigations, incidents prosecutors say unfolded just weeks apart and should never have been allowed to happen. According to St. Petersburg police, Deontay Bishop is accused of the demise of an 87-year-old man in a November hit and run, bonding out of jail, and then committing another deletion in late December, this time taking the life of 15-year-old Zakiria Lofton. Police say the first fatal incident occurred in November near Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and 30th Avenue South in St. Petersburg. Investigators allege Bishop, unlicensed and driving his father's car, crashed into the driver's side of the elderly man's vehicle, then fled on foot. Officers caught him minutes later, and he was charged with leaving the scene of a crash involving death, a first-degree felony in Florida. He was granted a $5,000 bond and released on December 19th, fitted with an ankle monitor while awaiting trial. That case remains open, and the victim's family is now calling for stricter pretrial controls for juveniles facing serious charges. Just 10 days later, on December 30th, the second fatal case unfolded. According to investigators, Zakiria Lofton was leaving the Citrus Grove apartments when he was shot and met his demise. Police say Bishop's court-issued GPS monitor placed him at the scene of the shooting at the time it happened, confirming his presence during the crime. The next morning, Bishop and his father were pulled over during a traffic stop for a fake license plate. Officers recovered a firearm in the vehicle, several pounds of Mary, and took Bishop into custody. This time, the charges included first-degree deletion, drug possession, and carrying a concealed firearm.
Police say last night a game of basketball was interrupted with bullets. This was the scene just after 7 on 15th Street South in St. Petersburg. Officers say 18-year-old Antoine Jones heard gunshots, so he walked out of his home and started shooting.
He heard gunshots, so he decided to come out and he just shot in that direction.
2 innocent victims were caught in the gunfire, a 40-year-old man and his nephew who were outside playing basketball at the time.
St. Petersburg police say an 18-year-old man is now facing serious charges after a Tuesday night shooting injured 2 people, including a 10-year-old boy. According to investigators, officers arrested Antoine Jones, who they believe opened fire during a dispute that quickly escalated into violence in a residential neighborhood. Detectives say the shooting occurred on February 12, 2025, and triggered an immediate, citywide response because one of the victims was a child caught in the crossfire. Police began receiving 911 calls just after nightfall reporting multiple gunshots. When officers arrived, they found 2 victims suffering from gunshot wounds: an adult male who appeared to be the intended target, and a 10-year-old boy who had been nearby when bullets struck. The child was rushed to the hospital for treatment, and officials say both victims survived. Detectives quickly secured the scene, collected shell casings, interviewed witnesses, and canvassed nearby homes and businesses for additional video evidence. According to investigators, early leads pointed toward an argument that happened shortly before the shooting. Officers identified Antoine Jones as a suspect within hours, based on witness statements, surveillance footage, and digital evidence. By the next day, Jones was taken into custody without incident. St. Petersburg police say he is now facing multiple felony charges. St. Petersburg police say a 26-year-old man identified as a gang member is facing a serious felony charge after a 14-year-old girl reported that he sexually assaulted her inside a vehicle in the early morning hours of September 2nd. According to court records, Darzon Williams of St. Petersburg was arrested on a charge of sexual battery and booked into the Pinellas County Jail, where he remained held the following day while officials determined his bail status. An arrest affidavit states that around 2 a.m., Williams allegedly refused to allow the girl to leave the vehicle and, through fear and intimidation, forced her into non-consensual sexual activity. The specific location of the incident was redacted from the public report because the victim is a minor, which is standard in Florida for protecting juvenile survivors in sensitive cases. Detectives noted that, afterward, Williams gave the girl $40 and told her the money was meant to keep her from telling anyone what had happened. Behavior investigators view as an attempt to buy silence and discourage disclosure. St. Petersburg police say Cortez Flowers, a man with a long and escalating history of violent crime, became the focus of a major manhunt after investigators linked him to a second violent offense on November 30th. According to detectives, Flowers encountered a woman at a gas station on 34th Street South and offered her a ride home, a gesture that quickly turned into a life-threatening situation. Police say he drove the victim to the Clam Bayou area, where he threatened her with a firearm, assaulted her, robbed her, and warned her not to report the crime. The woman later identified Flowers through a photo lineup, which detectives say was a key piece of evidence that allowed them to secure an arrest warrant. When officers compared the details of the November 30th attack to an earlier case, they noticed disturbing similarities. As investigators reviewed Flowers' background, they discovered that he had recently been involved in a series of violent incidents involving firearms. Police records show multiple arrests throughout the year: an aggravated assault in May for allegedly pointing a gun at victims and making threats, another gun-related assault in July, and an auto theft in October. Officials say the pattern showed a clear escalation in behavior, prompting the department to assign additional resources as they worked to locate him before anyone else was harmed. The violent streak extended beyond St. Petersburg. Clearwater police had issued charges for a separate incident in which Flowers was accused of kidnapping and carjacking a victim on October 9th. According to investigators, the victim escaped only because he managed to secretly text his family, who then contacted law enforcement. Detectives say that incident, combined with his more recent offenses, demonstrated how rapidly Flowers' crimes were intensifying and how urgent it was to take him into custody. In Port St. Lucie, Florida, detectives say a longer investigation starting with a search warrant served the prior month on Bayshore Boulevard near Evelyn Avenue set the stage for a traffic stop arrest that police framed as a gang intelligence win. After that warrant service, investigators say they secured an arrest warrant for Samuel Content, alleging he was wanted on 16 felony counts, including accusations tied to selling drugs within 1,000 feet of a park, the kind of enhancement that can raise the stakes in a drug case. Police say the enforcement moment came when SID gang intelligence detectives stopped a vehicle on NW Riverside Drive. There were 4 people in the car, and PSLPD identified as documented gang members, described by police as linked to the Bloods. In the search, detectives reported finding a Smith & Wesson 9 handgun, an undisclosed amount of drugs, and $12,000 cash, a mix police often point to when arguing drugs weren't just for.
Police say Sanders was being chased and shot by those suspects down Cameo Avenue before turning onto California Boulevard, where he was shot in the abdomen and then later crashed near Green and Lane. Now at the spot are Flowers laid by his daughter. And authorities tell me it all started from a bar fight. Tony Ann Myers lives next to 23-year-old Victor Alvarez, one of the 3 suspects accused in the shooting death of 53-year-old Dan Sanders. Sanders was involved in a bar fight at the Office Sports Pub in Port St. Lucie. After the fight, authorities say an associate of the suspects, Alvarez, 25-year-old Kyle James Driscoll, and 21-year-old Neva Ray Gonzalez, told the 3 to come to the pub. Port St. Lucie Assistant Police Chief Leo Nimzik says after they arrived, they then chased down Sanders on his motorcycle. Nimzik says Alvarez was sitting in the passenger seat and fired multiple times at Sanders, leaving a bullet hole in Sanders' bike. According to the investigation, Sanders was hit and then crashed his bike. According to police, Sanders was a known member of the Rough Riders Motorcycle Club and also associated with the Pagans Motorcycle Club. Alvarez and Driscoll are known associates with the Outlaws Motorcycle Club.
Personal use. In Port St. Lucie, police responded to what sounded like a routine call. A single motorcycle crashed near California Boulevard and Green and Lane. But on scene, detectives say it wasn't just a wreck. They identified the rider as Daniel Sanders and determined he had been shot. He was rushed to a hospital in Fort Pierce, where he later died. From there, investigators built the case backward. Police say Sanders had been at the Office Sports Pub on U.S. Highway 1 about an hour earlier, where a fight broke out. Detectives have not publicly pinned down the exact motive for the fight, but they did outline the larger backdrop they were looking at. Sanders was a known member of the recently disbanded Rough Riders Motorcycle Club, and investigators said he was believed to have sought membership with the Pagans afterward. Police also described an influx of pagans in the area and noted tensions that can flare when different clubs overlap territory. Police say surveillance video and scene evidence helped them identify both a suspect vehicle and the people inside it. According to investigators, Kyle James Driscoll was driving a blue Nissan Sentra and allegedly pursued Sanders, while Victor Omar Alvarez allegedly fired from the passenger seat towards Sanders' motorcycle during the chase. Detectives also said they recovered 6 shell casings in the area. The third suspect, Nevaeh Ray Gonsalves, was allegedly in the back seat. Police allege she tried to mislead detectives after the fact and attempted to create an alibi by getting a bar receipt forged. Investigators said Alvarez and Driscoll were associated with the Outlaws Motor Club, though police described them as not patch members. The story starts like a small moment that spirals fast. Detectives stop a car on a Thursday night and say 2 documented gang members, Rashad Muhammad and Cecil Rodriguez, were inside and headed to a rap concert at Vib's Lounge. Police say they developed probable cause to search the vehicle, and what they claim they found turned a routine night out into a major weapons and narcotics case. Investigators say the search uncovered multiple firearms, including an AK-47 style pistol, a Glock 17, and a 9 Uzi that police said had a removed serial number, plus a makeshift suppressor. Alongside the guns, police said they also recovered various drugs and drug paraphernalia, the kind of 1009 prosecutors often use to argue a case isn't just possession, but a dangerous combination of weapons and drugs that threatens public safety. Port St. Lucie police said a SWAT-backed search warrant hit a home in the 2300 block of Southwest Kent Circle, targeting Jonathan Doo-Doo Walker, described by police as a convicted felon and gang member. Investigators said Walker tried to destroy evidence attempting to flush drugs and pour bleach on them, but police said it didn't work. Police reported seizing a large amount of suspected drugs, plus a handgun, ammunition, a hydraulic press, described as drug manufacturing equipment, and more than $5,000 in cash. Behind a neighborhood bar in Port St. Lucie, police say a late-night dispute tied to rival motorcycle groups turned deadly, the kind of situation that can start with words, patches, and pride, then end with a homicide scene and a citywide manhunt. Investigators said it happened early Sunday morning behind Harper's Pub near Southwest Port St. Lucie Boulevard, and by sunrise they were treating it as a case with possible motorcycle gang connections, not a random fight. According to the arrest affidavit summarized in reporting, the victim, Keith Johnson Jr. of Port St. Lucie, entered the bar, and a witness later told police that 3 men believed to be affiliated with the Pagans came in around the same time. Detectives said Johnson appeared uneasy and thought he was being watched, and surveillance footage reportedly showed him leaving the bar moments before the man police identify as the shooter followed him outside. Police said Johnson was likely affiliated with the Outlaws and was wearing clothing linked to that group, while the suspect Elijah Inshodigwiz of Port St. Lucie was tied by investigators to a rival club described as the Unwanted Nomads. Authorities also said the Unwanted Nomads and the Pagans were documented biker gangs with a presence in and around St. Lucie County, and Port St. Lucie PD said it has investigators who track that activity. What made the case move fast was what police described as the getaway and pursuit. After the shooting, investigators said the suspect fled on a motorcycle, and a chase eventually led into Martin County, where police arrested Inshodigwiz. Port St. Lucie police say a violent confrontation outside the Minsky gym escalated fast from a dispute to a full-on attack around a pickup truck with 5 people inside. According to records summarized, investigators identified James Palmer, also known as PJ or OG, as one of several alleged attackers who approached the truck and smashed windows, with occupants reporting they were struck with a pipe and or stick during the chaos. In the account given to police, The attack happened after the pickup drove off and got stuck, and that's when the group closed in. One occupant told investigators Palmer allegedly climbed into the truck bed, broke the rear glass with a stick, and threw a pipe through the window, striking the person inside, then allegedly tried to climb in through the broken window and pull the person out. The records also describe other attackers smashing the driver's window and trying to pull the driver out while hitting him. Detectives also noted a possible backstory. One of the occupants said he had fought Palmer the prior summer, suggesting this wasn't random. Investigators further documented allegations that at least one assailant displayed a gun before the group fled when someone yelled "cops." As the case moved into court, Palmer was listed as a known gang member within our city in the records referenced by T.C. Palm, and prosecutors filed a serious stack of charges. 2 counts of burglary of a conveyance with assault or battery, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, aggravated battery, and criminal mischief.
The 5 gang members that Orlando police have arrested in an operation they're calling Operation Hot Wheels. Now, investigators tell us these guys stole cars from neighborhoods, used them to commit crimes all over the state of Florida, and then they brought stolen guns right here to Central Florida communities.
According to Mills court papers, Orlando police detectives have connected him and other gang members to car thefts involving 25 law enforcement agencies all across the state. They say this picture from Mills' Instagram account shows him standing next to one of 3 cars that they say was stolen from a dealership in Merritt Island. Detectives say this shot from his Instagram shows him next to a white Chevy Camaro, one of 4 cars stolen in Hillsborough County.
Bail out, bail out.
The Lucie County Sheriff's Office helped locate Mills last year after investigators say he stole a Ford Mustang from a dealership in Palm Coast.
Get your hands up! Watch him in now, watch it, Batman!
He was apprehended hiding in someone's swimming pool, but he bonded out of jail 20 days later. In all, Orlando police say Mills and the other 5 already in custody are responsible for nearly $2 million in stolen property, 59 stolen vehicles, and 19 stolen firearms.
5 gang members from Central Florida have been arrested after a 2-year investigation revealed their involvement in nearly $2 million worth of thefts across the state, according to the Orlando Police Department. Detective Mike Lathern explained the gang's method. They would steal a car in Orlando, drive it to another city, and use it to rob car dealerships. They'd steal a car from Orlando and then travel in groups of 4, 5, or 6 to commit the thefts, Lathern said. Court documents link Mills and other gang members to car thefts in at least 25 different law enforcement jurisdictions throughout Florida. Investigators cited a photo posted on Mills' Instagram, where he is seen standing next to one of 3 cars stolen from a Merritt Island dealership. Another post shows him next to a white Chevrolet Camaro, one of 4 cars stolen from a Hillsborough County dealership. Last year, the Lucie County Sheriff's Office helped track down Mills after he allegedly stole a Ford Mustang from a dealership in Palm Coast. He was found hiding in a pool in DeLand, but was released on bail 20 days later. In total, the Orlando Police Department reports that Mills and the other 5 arrested suspects are responsible for $2 million in stolen property, 59 stolen vehicles, and 19 stolen firearms.
6 o'clock, October 8th, Orlando police evacuate Mall at Millennia after people hear gunshots coming from the food court area. Officers arrest 19-year-olds Trayvon Graham and Joshua Holder and charge them both with attempted first-degree. According to Holder's arrest warrant, one of their intended targets was 20-year-old Jaquavia Smith, known better in rap music circles as Glock 9. His social media handle includes a reference to AFNF. This 20-year-old Javari Walker is the biggest name associated with the 438. He's better known on the music scene as Hot Boy, and his handle includes a 438. Attorneys for both Smith and Walker deny they're a leader or a member of a street gang. Smith's attorney says he's had no involvement in any of the shootings other than being shot at. Walker's attorney says 438 is not a gang. It's a state road that runs through the Pine Hills communities.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office held a news conference on Friday to provide details on a 9-month investigation conducted by the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation into gang activity within Orange County. Dubbed Operation X-Force, the investigation began in October as tensions between 2 rival gangs, the Army and 438, escalated. Investigators revealed that the conflict was fueled by disputes over music, women, and territory. Sheriff Mana explained that the Army gang operates out of the Mercy Drive area, while the 438 gang is based in the Silver Star Road area. This ongoing feud between these gangs has led to over 30 shootings and several across multiple jurisdictions, Mana said. Investigators noted that 4 individuals lost their lives after being caught in the crossfire of these retaliatory shootings. Throughout the investigation, authorities seized 15 firearms, including 2 stolen guns and 2 directly linked to the death of King, according to Stucker. Additionally, 13 auto-sears devices capable of converting semi-automatic guns into fully automatic weapons were recovered from the home of Jaquavius Smith, also known as Glock 9. In total, 34 individuals have been arrested as part of the investigation, with 32 facing racketeering charges. A series of drive-by shootings in Central Florida, triggered by the demise of gang member Diane Outsey in May 2021, has led to numerous arrests as part of Operation Drive-By-Buy. Law enforcement uncovered a cycle of retaliation between rival gangs that escalated over 2 years, resulting in multiple shootings and several. Notable incidents include a gun battle at a Winter Haven bowling alley in January 2022 where one person met their demise and others injured, and a series of drive-by shootings that targeted rival gang members throughout 2022 and 2023. The rise in access to firearms and stolen vehicles has contributed to an increase in violence, with law enforcement making several arrests and recovering weapons and drugs during the operation. Despite these efforts, the cycle of gang-related violence has continued to endanger the community. A street gang is under investigation for distributing counterfeit drugs laced with fentanyl, resulting in multiple deletions, Assistant State Attorney Ann Wedge McMillan said. Orange and Osceola State Attorney Andrew Bain announced that a 37-count indictment has led to the dismantling of the gang. 11 individuals have been charged in Operation Dirty 30s with crimes such as deletion and racketeering. Bain stated that the defendants were part of a gang known as Respect, Money Structure, or Everybody K. They're destroying lives, my life, my daughter's life, said Laura Linners, the mother of one of the victims. Evidence photos revealed the gang's alleged operations, which included manufacturing counterfeit drugs designed to mimic common prescriptions. The investigation, which lasted nearly a year, was a joint effort involving the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Orlando Police Department, and the State Attorney's Office.
Biker gang brawl right in the middle of an intersection. Shots were fired, and now 4 men are behind bars.
And Fox 35's Manny Martinez is live near where it happened in Titusville. So, Manny, one of the men reportedly started shooting at the others, who he says attacked him.
Yeah, to try to get away, John. It happened right here at this intersection. Police describe a setup. 3 members of one gang waiting on the lone member of another, blocking traffic before they attacked. In the middle of the evening rush on a summer Friday in July, traffic at the corner of US 1 and State Road 50 could do nothing but watch as 4 men brawled in the street. An arrest affidavit shows witnesses reported the motorcyclists fought with whatever they had, be it knives, baseball bats, pipes, and batons. Titusville police arrested Gage Wilson, Matthew Limperatos, Joseph Summerhill, and Anthony Cifuentes. Police say they're all suspected gang members, with the 3 members of the Mongols outlaw gang beating up on Cifuentes, a member of the Warlocks outlaw gang. Police say Cifuentes pulled out a gun and shot his way out of the scuffle. All 4 suspects scattered before police showed up.
4 members of rival motorcycle gangs have been arrested after police say they clashed in a Titusville intersection. Authorities reported that 3 members of the Mongols outlaw gang unlawfully gathered in the southbound lanes of U.S. 1 near the intersection with the R50, blocking traffic and preventing a Warlocks motorcycle gang member from proceeding. According to police, the Warlocks member dismounted his motorcycle to confront the 3 Mongols who had blocked him in. A physical altercation ensued between the Warlocks member and the Mongols. During the fight, the Warlock pulled out a firearm and fired several shots, prompting all 4 individuals to flee the scene before police arrived. No injuries were reported, officials said. Investigators noted that digital evidence provided by a witness helped Titusville police, along with deputies from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, Game Over Task Force, and FBI agents, identify and arrest the 4 gang members involved. The 3 Mongols have been charged with aggravated rioting.
Latin Kings, SUR-13, and local crews like Bird Gang, 200 Scudder, and a P Gang.
According to the sheriff's office, these faces belong to some of the worst gang members in eastern Hillsborough County. Arrested yesterday in the area around Plant City, Seffner, and Dover. 7 of them, all from the Sir 13 gang. The sheriff's office will admit 7 may not seem like much, but this is big. These 7, they say, are some of the worst gang members that other gang members look up to. So they are sending the message to the others, no one is untouchable. And they want the community to know the streets are safer with these 7 off them.
In March 2014, deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office launched a focused operation aimed at some of the county's most active gang members in eastern Hillsborough County. The enforcement effort specifically targeted individuals believed to be affiliated with SUR 13, a gang known to operate in parts of Central Florida and other regions of the United States. According to investigators, the crackdown was designed to disrupt gang activity connected to violent crimes, narcotics distribution, and organized street-level offenses in communities around Plant City and other eastern areas of the county. Deputies focused on identifying repeat offenders and individuals considered the worst offenders, using surveillance, intelligence gathering, and coordinated patrol operations to locate suspects. Authorities said the operation was part of a broader strategy to reduce gang violence and prevent retaliatory attacks between rival groups. Law enforcement officials emphasized that targeting high-risk gang members can significantly reduce crime by removing individuals believed to be responsible for a large share of violent incidents in the area.
18 likely gang members are now facing federal indictments thanks to Operation Bluecast. Only News Channel 8 was there Tuesday morning as the FBI raided this house on Nebraska Avenue affiliated with the Bird Gang, a dangerous group investigators say has menaced the Tampa Park neighborhood for many years. This year-long coordinated effort between local, state, and federal law enforcement led to multiple raids and arrests. Investigators say the Bird Gang has been tied to drugs, robberies, and shootings throughout the years, including a deadly shooting during 2017's Illuminated Night Parade in Ybor City.
Federal prosecutors announced charges against 18 alleged Bird Gang members and associates in Hillsborough County after a long-running investigation into drug trafficking and firearms offenses. According to investigators, Bird Gang was accused of operating a drug distribution network tied to various drugs and firearms activity in the Tampa area. Prosecutors said the defendants faced a RAN, https://patch.com/Florida/South Tampa/Hillsborough/Seeks/Member/Attempted murder.
Deputies also just arrested 3 known gang members in Plant City. Investigators say they first found 18-year-old Jamil Callens, who's wanted for illegally having a gun when he was a minor. But when they arrested him, 2 people he had been riding with sped off and ended up crashing into several parked cars. Deputies arrested the driver and a 17-year-old passenger.
Deputies encountered 18-year-old Jamil Callens, who was wanted by Tampa Police Department on a warrant related to firearm possession. During the encounter, a white BMW connected to the suspect sped away before crashing into several parked cars. Deputies then detained the vehicle's driver, Rodrianti Bernie, 24, along with a 17-year-old passenger. A search of the vehicle reportedly uncovered about 2.6 pounds of marijuana and 4 firearms, including 1 weapon equipped with a machine gun conversion device that made it fully automatic. Authorities said none of the guns were reported stolen, but the suspects still face multiple felony charges related to drugs and illegal weapons possession.
Camera video shows a police chase through a community near Detroit last October. It ended with a suspect from Tampa in jail, accused of carjacking, kidnapping, tying up, and torturing a man. Investigators would eventually charge another Tampa man in connection with the case, Xavier Gardner.
Put your hands behind your back!
At the time, this may have seemed like an isolated incident, but federal investigators say it wasn't at all. U.S. Attorney Roger Handberg confirmed that Michigan case was connected to a wide-ranging investigation into the Alexander Park, or AP gang, in Tampa. We're told it's named after the community where some of its members grew up. Handberg says one of those shootings led to a break in the case in April 2022. He says a rival gang, member of the AP gang, in the parking lot of Scores Gentlemen's Club on Dale Mabry Highway. 6 days later, we're told a deadly retaliatory shooting happened at a strip mall in the Town and Country area of Tampa. Detectives recovered about 70 bullet casings. We're told that helped connect the dots to several other crimes. Handberg says investigators have now linked the AP gang to robberies in 4 other states, mostly for drugs.
The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Florida announced that 6 members of the Alexander Park gang have been indicted on multiple charges, including racketeering and deletion. The Alexander Park gang, named after a park on North Lois Avenue, was involved in a variety of criminal activities, such as burglaries, robberies, shootings, and drug trafficking. The gang is also accused of committing aggravated assault, home invasion, robbery, and burglary in several states, including Oregon, California, and Michigan. The gang members have been connected to an April 17, 2022 incident at Score's Gentlemen's Club on North Dale-Mabry Highway, which resulted in a deletion. Investigators stated that the incident was a result of ongoing tensions between the Alexander Park gang and the Latin Kings. According to Handberg, a member of the Alexander Park gang was deleted by a Latin Kings member during that incident. In response, investigators claim that 6 days later, Alexander Park gang members retaliated by deleting a Latin Kings member in broad daylight. The National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, NIBIN, was used to connect the Alexander Park gang members to multiple criminal activities in Tampa and other states. Special Agent Kirk Howard noted that the Alexander Park gang is no longer active, describing it as a sophisticated, well-financed, and ruthless organization that, until recently, was responsible for numerous violent crimes and disrupted communities across the country for profit. If convicted on all charges, the individuals face a maximum penalty of life imprisonment.
4 suspected members of the white supremacist gang Unforgiven, who are from Northeast Florida, sat at a table in front of federal judge Monty Richardson, who ordered they all remain in custody without bond. Prosecutors say the motive to commit such crimes were either to gain entry, maintain status, or increase their position within the gang. They also say the victims were members of rival white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys, Aryan Brotherhood, and Race Baiters. News4Jack's crime and safety expert Ken Jefferson says attacking another white supremacist group is what really sticks out in this case.
16 members of a Florida-based white supremacist group known by aliases such as Shrek, Pretty Boy, and Scumbag have been indicted on 12 counts of racketeering charges, including deletion, kidnapping, and other serious crimes. The group, called the Unforgiven, allegedly utilized corrupt law enforcement officers and state employees to gather information about investigations and to smuggle contraband to incarcerated members, according to the indictment. The indictment states that new members were required to study Aryan philosophy and commit acts of extreme violence as part of their initiation. Members were also expected to get tattoos featuring symbols such as swastikas, iron crosses, and SS bolts, pay membership dues, and attend regular meetings referred to as church. The group established a political branch known as Route 21, which federal prosecutors described as an effort to mask the white supremacist ideology behind their political activities. David Howell, 39, one of the individuals named in the indictment, has been charged with assaulting protesters with a dangerous weapon during a Peace Walk for Black Lives demonstration last June. If convicted, several members, including George Shrek Andrews, Brandon Scumbag Welch, and Joshua Chain Gang Wilson, could face up to 30 years in prison.
New tonight, 9 suspected gang members are now behind bars. Tampa police detectives arresting these men early this morning after a 3-year-long investigation.
According to Police Chief Brian Dugan, they're members of the 200 Scudda gang and responsible for numerous crimes across the country, including witness tampering, identity theft, credit card fraud, and much more.
Stupid boy, you ain't gonna take that.
The gang members include rappers who wrote songs that describe shootings, snitches, and the absence of fear of law enforcement.
Detectives were able to use their music videos, which they posted on YouTube, to connect them to several crimes. This investigation started after the 2016 17-year-old at the Red Roof Inn on Bush Boulevard. Joshua Green, in this surveillance picture, wearing a Scudda Gang t-shirt, is the suspected.
Overall, the members of this gang have been hell-bent on committing serious crimes.
The chief says this investigation is far from over and may be more arrests to come.
The term Scudda is a slang expression meaning let's get it. And according to Tampa police, it refers to making money by any means necessary. This is precisely what the 200 Scudda gang was allegedly doing, as authorities claim its members engaged in a range of activities, including racketeering, identity theft, credit card fraud, illegal firearm purchases, witness intimidation, and drug distribution, stretching from Hillsborough County to Georgia. Following a 2-year investigation, Tampa Police Chief Brian Duggan announced on Tuesday that 9 individuals had been arrested, with additional arrests expected. According to police, the gang's fraudulent activities affected up to 100 victims, and members appeared to operate without fear of apprehension, even using a rap label in Georgia to boast about their actions and their disregard for the law. Chief Duggan stated that this apparent sense of invulnerability among gang members would soon come to an end as more arrests were made. The gang has been linked to a 2016 incident involving the deletion of a 17-year-old during a shootout at a motel on Bush Boulevard, as well as a gang-related feud in April 2017 that resulted in the shooting of 2 rival gang members in Sulphur Springs. Another shooting in May 2017 led investigators to uncover the extent of the gang's activities. The investigation initially focused on what seemed to be a routine drug deal, but soon revealed a more extensive network of fraud and other criminal operations. According to police spokesman Steve Hegarty, the gang members used personal information and credit card numbers obtained online to carry out various financial scams. Additionally, police discovered connections to previous incidents where witnesses had been intimidated, leading to shortened prison sentences for some individuals involved. Officer Steve Monforti of the Tampa Police Department's Violent Crime Bureau explained that in several cases, witnesses had been pressured not to testify, resulting in reduced consequences for those implicated. One shooting victim had to relocate to another state due to intimidation. Among the cases newly linked to the gang is that of Kelly Stacy Jr., a 17-year-old who was deleted during an October 30, 2016 incident. According to court records, Stacy and a friend attempted to purchase $300 worth of smoke using counterfeit $100 bills. The situation escalated, and Stacy was inadvertently deleted by his friend. Investigators later identified members of the 200 Scudda gang as being involved in the drug deal at the hotel, leading to third-degree deletion charges against Joshua Damian Green, 32, for his role in the events that culminated in Stacy's deletion. The quality of the gang's rap videos, according to Officer Chris Skull, indicated the success of their financial schemes, with an increase in production value reflecting their growing revenue over the years. Special Agent in Charge Mark Brutnell of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement's Tampa office noted that the gang had been determined to carry out serious criminal activities, but the recent arrests represented significant progress in addressing these issues.
Well, they're calling this Operation Checkmate, as in game over, and the sheriff says it is game over for a number of alleged high-level drug traffickers operating in southern Hillsborough County.
6-figure cars, 6-figure chains, 6-figure cash. Investigators say this was all part of a day in the life of 2 high-ranking Latin King gang members recently busted.
Expensive cars, jewelry, and firearms were a part of everyday life for 2 high-ranking members of the Latin Kings who were recently arrested during a 3-month narcotics operation in Hillsborough County. According to Sheriff Chad Chronister, detectives and D agents seized over $800,000 worth of drugs, along with 15 firearms, cash, and stolen property after executing search warrants at 5 locations in Wamama last Thursday. The sheriff identified the 2 men leading the local operation as Omar Bravo, the state's top drug supplier, and Fidencio Robles, one of the top 5 Latin Kings members in Florida. The stash houses were reportedly used by at least 19 other dealers to distribute significant quantities of drugs, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in monthly revenue. During a press conference on Monday, Sheriff Chronister was joined by State Attorney General Ashley Moody, who cited border security issues as a contributing factor to the gang's ability to operate in Florida. "We know the lack of security at the southern border has only fueled the growth of these gangs that have infiltrated our state," said Attorney General Ashley Moody. Investigators also discovered the Latin Kings' operational manual, detailing the gang's leadership structure and locations, which Sheriff Chronister said is one of only a few known copies in existence. The sheriff added that the seized firearms are being tested to determine if they are linked to other crimes in Hillsborough County.
A suspected member of MS-13 was arrested in Hillsborough County after deputies responded to reports of an armed individual in the community of Wamama. According to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, deputies were called to the area of Linford Drive and Palmetto Road after witnesses reported seeing a man carrying what appeared to be a rifle. When deputies arrived, they located the suspect and took him into custody. Investigators said the individual was identified as a documented MS-13 gang member and was allegedly in possession of an AK-47 style rifle at the time of the arrest. Authorities said the suspect now faces multiple charges related to illegal firearm possession, and officials noted that the arrest is part of ongoing efforts to target gang activity and illegal weapons in the Tampa Bay area. No injuries were reported during the incident, and investigators continue reviewing the circumstances surrounding the case. Deputies in Hillsborough County arrested several suspected gang members after discovering drugs and multiple firearms, including a weapon modified to operate as a machine gun. The arrests were carried out by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office during an investigation in the Plant City area. According to investigators, several members of the Norte 14 were prosecuted after a major gang investigation spanning Hillsborough County, Manatee County, and Polk County. Authorities said the group was involved in violent crimes including aggravated battery, robbery, and assault. A joint investigation by the Plant City Police Department, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and the Florida Attorney General's Office of Statewide Prosecution led to 11 arrests in June 2013. 9 members later pleaded guilty, receiving combined prison sentences totaling more than 45 years. Among those sentenced were Joseph Rondon, who received 15 years in prison, and Jonathan Rondon, who was sentenced to 7 years. Another member, Michael Lugo, received 8 years in prison after pleading guilty to racketeering and related crimes. Authorities said the case dismantled a gang responsible for multiple crimes across the region. In March, Hillsborough Sheriff seeks drag gang member. Detectives with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office asked for the public's help locating Darren Fatboy Gibson, who was wanted in connection with an attempted deletion and armed robbery case in Tampa. According to investigators, the incident occurred allegedly forced their way into a home on Baptist Church Road. Authorities said the 2 suspects held 8 people at gunpoint, ordering them to lie on the ground while they robbed the victims. Detectives later identified Gibson as a suspect and began searching for him in connection with the violent robbery and attempted murder charges. A suspected member of the Latin Kings was arrested in Hillsborough County as part of an undercover human trafficking investigation led by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Authorities identified the suspect as Stephen Tyler Cook, who was taken into custody during an operation targeting individuals advertising escort services online. Detectives said the investigation focused on activity taking place at local hotels in the Tampa area, where undercover deputies were monitoring advertisements linked to potential prostitution and trafficking cases. According to investigators, Cook is accused of coercing a victim into prostitution work, which led to the human trafficking charge. Law enforcement officials said the arrest was part of a broader effort to identify individuals exploiting vulnerable victims through online escort advertisements and hotel-based operations in Tampa. A Tampa gang leader was sentenced to nearly 4 years in federal prison after authorities said he illegally possessed a firearm and displayed it during a social media video. According to court documents, Devin Kelly, a documented member and leader within the Bloods, appeared in an Instagram live video on July 2nd alongside Keyshawn Watts, another convicted felon. Investigators said the 2 men were seen holding and displaying a rifle during the live stream. About a week later, federal agents executed a search warrant at Kelly's residence and recovered a Ruger R-55-6 rifle along with an extended magazine loaded with 40 rounds of ammunition. Authorities said the weapon's features matched the rifle shown in the Instagram video, and Kelly later admitted the firearm belonged to him. Prosecutors said Kelly was legally prohibited from possessing firearms due to several prior felony convictions, including aggravated assault and a previous felon in possession case. As a result, he was charged and later sentenced to nearly 4 years in federal prison for illegally possessing the rifle and ammunition. A convicted felon and former gang member was arrested in Hillsborough County following a lengthy undercover narcotics investigation conducted by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. According to investigators, the Sheriff's Special Investigations Division gang unit carried out a 5-month undercover operation targeting suspected drug trafficking activity in the area. During the investigation, detectives allegedly conducted controlled purchases and gathered evidence linking the suspect to the sale and distribution of illegal narcotics. Authorities said the suspect, who had prior felony convictions and a history of gang involvement, was ultimately taken into custody and charged with drug trafficking offenses. The cases you've seen today prove that gang activity in Florida extends far beyond any single city or neighborhood. From cartel-connected traffickers in South Florida and violent street crews in Jacksonville to organized racketeering cases in Tampa and gang rivalries in Orlando, these investigations reveal the scope of the challenges facing law enforcement across the state. While major arrests, indictments, and long prison sentences have disrupted many criminal organizations, authorities continue to warn that gangs adapt, evolve, and search for new opportunities to operate. The battle against organized crime in Florida remains ongoing, with local police, federal agents, and state task forces working together to keep communities safe. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gang investigations, cartel stories, and true crime documentaries from All Scoops Media.